The opening palm can be taught basically in 3 different parts. Drop your weight back. The wrist is tilted upward to grab or press. Then rotate. As you rotate, you slip under that arm. Press your weight. And driving forward. Remember, when you step forward, the leg first extends and then the body follows. So it's 1, 2, and 3. You want to make sure you make the movements flow and connect, because at any point where you meet contact, that will decide the actual application of the movement. The real key here is using that sphere. So I step forward, use my leg to pull my waist and my arms over, keeping on my center line. As I find that opening and I open him up, then I can smash through the target using my legs. Step forward, rotate, weight is still in the back, shoving forward so that the blades of those palms go through the target. One hand supports the other from behind, shoulders are pressed. It's important to keep all the movements tight so that you guard that gate. You should never open yourself up or expose yourself for any movement. Same motion. Take your time here. Make sure your wrist is in the right position, hitting against that blade as your body drives through. Legs pull the body pulls the arms. So this is all about creating a spiral first. That step, spiral, and step through. The first step creates space. So it could be against the hand or the head or the chest. Now I'm going to step back and use it almost as a strike, but just to get space, to create that spiral to open the opponent's guard. Keep the elbows in. Whatever you're doing wrong here, you're going to feel pain in that area. So make sure your elbows are in behind the heart. Your wrists are aligned. You don't want to just smack it. You want to make sure that you're hitting the appropriate bend on that wrist. Now I'm using more of a snap down in that first motion, creating space. I can use it by pulling, dragging, or snapping. And of course, it's important to just practice this rotation on the lead leg. More than likely, you'll use it just this way. On the lead leg, open, counter. Every part of these movements need to be practiced individually. Make sure that when you step through, you see how my leg is pushing me through. And so the weight from my body is going into my palm. Now I'm using that second motion basically as a parry or to kind of lean the person to one side or the other. It's all about creating opportunities, not just attacking. See here, I'll just practice the second part of that motion, the parry, over and over again. Now it's a parry and an attack. All of our motions are all parries, they're all attacks. Start creating combinations. Open, open, strike, strike, open, open, strike, strike. Now see how I'm putting that part of the palm against the target. It's not hitting it flat, it's that edge. There's lots of different ways you can tip that wrist and put the pain to the other person instead of yourself. Alternating legs, which is a very important skill with any technique. This is the stepping we did against the wall. First I go inward, then to one side, and then to the other side. This kind of spacing is important for every attack. To move around your opponent, his weight needs to be there. So the first motion puts his weight there. That way I can move around to his side. Without that first motion or initiation to put his weight down, it's really hard to move around somebody. People are not dumb. So move, get him thinking about your guard. When he thinks about that, move right to the side. Make sure that your angles are straight. You're lining up with him in a straight area. And you'll see that as I turn my wrist, I can really turn his guard open now. And we're not using any specific attacks. I'm just keeping my guard close to his as I rotate my waist, and that pulls him open. So by using your waist, you can pull people one direction or the other without having to grab them. You can do it high and low, low and high, but really practice moving around that guard. Connect that body to the legs, very easy. So you see his weight is there, just giving that example. Once his weight is there, it's easy to move around. So make him think about the first hand, and get in position for the second hand. You're not using your hands, but your feet to put him in position. Now we're using that cross step or the bypass step. It's the same idea, except for instead we're using the rear leg instead of that front leg. As we cross him over, we keep our body facing his. Our center stays on him as we move around him. This allows for different options of attacks. You'll see as I step past him, my hands sort of glide and create a space. My waist is still turning against him, just like walking the circle. Now using that full bypass step, you'll see I'm going to swim past him just like water. That step pushes one direction and the leg in the opposite direction. Whether his hand is there or not, or it's an attack, learning how to twist yourself while moving in sharp, straight angles. That's the key to Bagua. Do the step both backwards, forwards, try different variations of your own. You'll see how it's easy to step right past the attack. Push in one direction, I can block it, and then move, or I can just move. But you want to always keep your guard covered. It shouldn't be open. Practice with just a single step at first. Then you can start seeing how openings are available. Just crashing into them is an easy way to off balance him for a movement. Or turning and pivoting around him. But it's always the second attack that's going to give you more opportunities. Block as we have before, using the elbow, swim right past. Remember, everything is initiated by the step, not the hands. See how quite naturally after you open them up, so here we're using the press from the first part of the opening palm. Now you'll see how this other hand opens them up. I turn. Now I can snap the arm or the shoulder, or I can just let it slip past so I can control the arm completely. You see I have his arm squeezed here so it can't get free. Stepping back, creating space. I can lock it in there, and I can just snap that arm if I wanted to. Or I can slip past and strike inside. So depending on the range, first you want to practice that first motion, creating that space. Drop your weight, sink it in the elbow, and from there nothing gets in, and I can just turn my waist and step in. Very basic attack, very effective. You can do the same motion 2 times, blocking once, and another time. Now you see how I keep that circle moving, just that propeller-like motion. So see how close he gets here, because he creates space within his own body. By sinking your weight, space is created. And that's why you want to just practice doing the first part of this motion over and over again. Take turns trading. They can do it through the face. They can also try to strike your body. But make sure your footwork is fluid, or all of your hand motion is just jump. Against the kick, see how the elbow is really the protection, not the wrist here. Sink that weight in tight, make sure it's covered. Both elbows are actually your friend here. Practice some kicking drills. Make sure you really try to get in there so that you get used to creating space. See how the footwork controls everything. Without the footwork, nothing is possible. So you're going to always create just enough space. Don't move too far. But you can practice counter and then move into your swimming step, bypassing step, finding those angles. Now the second part of the motion is just opening them up. And this really takes some sensitivity practice. I like to start with grabbing. Grab, use your waist to reverse that grab. Put the weight back on him, he puts it back on you. Keep the weight in the back and rotate with the hips. With the elbows in, you have a strong grasp. All the curves and bows should be there in the body. Now after doing that, you can start feeling how it moves against a punch. So he punches in, I control the space, into a small rotation. Now sometimes his arm will get stuck inside of that gear and you'll just break it. And so you don't have to try to do it on purpose, but by keeping your body in the right position, a lot of times you're going to get that grab. Both hands on the inside is safer, or you can move right into a counter. Make sure all your counters are done with the waist and not the hands. See, the second strike can just be another step. So learn how to step for another opportunity too. You can strike off either hand. After the parry, see all the vulnerabilities on his body. See how I use that elbow basically to control from any point or any angle. Just that rotation there. And then when I use my body to do that, basically I'm going to get something good. If something's coming in there, like I say, it gets caught inside the gears. So he comes inside, use those elbows, and I can open them up from the inside or the outside. First motion creates the space, the next motion creates the attack. So you want to really practice each movement individually and then start trying to put them all together. Practice from both front and backhand, with and without counters. Different footworks, stepping around, angling. Now we can start to put them together. You'll see I can just create the space and then they open. Footwork is the key, it's not the hands. Your footwork keeps the space and your waist controls the direction. The hands are just a reflection of what the waist is doing. Then you can start that last part of knowing the counter. And once again, never be blinded by the move you want to do. Let it all happen naturally. Learn to make these movements a part of your natural reactions. So do them and practice them until it's the way you flinch. So now you'll see that by putting the one hand behind the other, that's a strike to help me get inside while I cover myself. It slips right through the guard. Using that weight from the back. It's also a snap on the arm. So just by turning my waist, I can snap the arm, open them up for new attacks. You can use the same angle stepping that we used initially. Now remember, the shove is also being polite. Really, we want to snap that energy inside if we're in real danger. Practice safe with these. These are dangerous movements. Keep your arms in tight. We'll see you next week. Have fun. God bless.